Hey guys, welcome back to Advanced Scratch. Today we're going to be going over lesson 4. Here is a quick overview for today's lesson. First, we're going to learn about broadcasting, and then we're going to learn about how we can generate words in our final project of Hangman. So let's get started with broadcasting. You guys already learned broadcasting in intermediate Scratch, but we're going to do a quick review today just to make sure you guys fully understand it, especially because it's very important for our project of Hangman. So what exactly is broadcasting again? Broadcasting is when the program sends a message once something happens, and then that message is received by another sprite, and this triggers another action to happen. So to code broadcasting, you need to use the when I receive block to check if the message you broadcasted was sent. And then you need to use the broadcast block to send a message when something happens. So those are all over here. You can broadcast a message, you can receive a message. And an example of this is the code over here. We have a when flag is clicked and something says hello, the sprite says hello. And then it broadcasts a message called message1. And then once this area of code receives that message, then it says bye. So do you guys see how it has a broadcast block here? So it's broadcasting a message. And then in another part of the code, it's receiving the message and doing something else. Now it is your guys' turn. Hopefully you guys were able to understand this broadcasting concept. I want you guys to open up a new Scratch project and create 2 sprites. The first sprite should say hello for 2 seconds, and then the second sprite should say hi there afterwards. You have to use broadcasting for this activity. It is possible to do this activity without broadcasting technically, but make sure that you use broadcasting so that you are learning. So pause this video, try this activity out, and once you are ready to see the answer, you can resume the video and we will go over it together. Okay guys, hopefully you were able to try this out. Now we will be going over the answer. I will be opening the program to show you guys what it looks like. Here is the code. So we have the first sprite over here, which says hello. And then after 2 seconds, the second sprite says hi there. Now the first sprite has the when flag is clicked block. It says hello for 2 seconds, and then it broadcasts a message called message1. Now this message could be called whatever we want. We could call it hi, trigger, hi, 1, 2. We could call this message whatever we want. Now make sure that your message makes sense though, so that it's easy for you later on if you're having issues with it. You can easily figure out what you were trying to broadcast and why you were trying to broadcast it. So this broadcasts message1, and then the second sprite receives message1 and says hi there. So that is how this activity was meant to be done. Hopefully that made sense to you guys, and hopefully you guys understand broadcasting. Now we're going to be moving on to our final project of Hangman. We're going to be talking about word generation. So resetting Hangman. We want to reset Hangman every time the round ends. That could mean the player has won or lost. Regardless of whether they have won or lost, there are certain things that we do when the round ends, right? So how do we do those things? How do we reset the game? Do you guys have any ideas on how we could do this? Okay, I'm sure you guys had some good ideas. Let's look at a potential answer and the answer that we're going to be using for the rest of this lesson. The answer is you can broadcast a message every time we want to reset the game. Remember, broadcasting triggers an event in a program. It's basically the program saying, after I do this, I'm going to broadcast this message, and then other parts of the program can receive that message. This is exactly perfect for what we want to do, which is resetting the game. We can broadcast the reset message every time we want to reset the game, and then another part of the program can receive that message and actually do the actions of resetting the game for us. Now let's think about what we do when we reset the whiteboard for a new round of Hangman. So let's say I had a round of Hangman where the player had a few limbs on here. They guessed these letters. They guessed A, B, L, and they had D, R here. Now, let's say the player loses or wins, but for this scenario, let's say they lose and they draw the last limb. Now, how do we reset the game? What do we have to do? Okay, hopefully you guys were able to pause the video and kind of brainstorm some ideas. I'm going to show you guys what you would do now. So when you reset the game, you want to first of all erase all of the guessed letters from the previous round. So do you guys remember the letters that were here? You want to erase those. Then you want to choose a new word that has to be guessed, right? So whatever the word was here, we can't use the same word again because then obviously it's the same word. There's no point in playing the game. You have to choose a new word to guess. You want to erase the hangman, so as you notice the hangman isn't here anymore. And you want to write the word being guessed on the board using dashes. So you want to redraw these dashes again, right? And if the word is longer, then you have to use more dashes. And if it's shorter, then you have to use less dashes. So now let's try this out on our own. Remember, every time we want to start a new round of hangman, we can broadcast the reset block. So what code do we have to attach to this block to reset the game properly? This block says, when I receive the message reset. Now, you guys are going to have to put this in your program and add some code here to reset the game. Remember what we discussed in the previous slide, which was we want to do all of these things to reset the game. And also remember the variables and lists that we made in lesson 2. We made guesses left, losses, wins, word, and then we also made dictionary, letters already guessed, word being guessed. So using those variables and lists, as well as using the ideas from this slide, I want you guys to code this block, pause the video and try to do this on your own. Take as much time as you need, and when you're ready to look at the answer, you can resume the video and we will go over how you would code this reset block. And by the way, all of this code should stay in your main sprite. I'm hoping you guys were able to pause the video and try this out. So I'm going to reveal the answer now. So when I receive reset, so every time the program broadcasts reset, meaning the program wants to reset the game, we have to delete all of letters already guessed. So do you guys remember how we had a list with like all the letters guessed? So for example, like A, E, P, D. So we have a list with all of these letters guessed. So we want to delete those letters guessed, since at the beginning of every new hangman round, all of these letters can be re-guessed, right? So you want to delete them. Then we want to set our word to, and then there's this complicated phrase over here, this complicated block. Let's dissect it. So we're trying to pick a word. We're trying to set a word to item of dictionary. Now, if you guys remember, the dictionary was the list we created with all of the different words the player can guess. So we want to pick a random between 1 through the length of the dictionary. So what does that mean? Let's say our dictionary is dog, cat, and phone. So we want to pick a random word between the first index, right over here, and the length of the dictionary. And the length of the dictionary is 3, right? So basically we want to pick a random word between dog and phone. So it could be dog, it could be cat, or it could be phone. So this essentially is just choosing a random word. Then we want to create asterisk list of length of word. So if you guys remember from last time, we made a custom block to create the blanks, right? So let's say our random word was dog. Then we want to create an asterisk list of length of word. So the length of our word is 3 letters, so we want to make 3 dashes. Then we want to set guesses left to 6, since there's 6 guesses left at the beginning of each round. And finally, we want to say the word being guessed for 2 seconds. Remember that the word being guessed are the blanks, right? And when we use this block, it is putting those blanks inside the list word being guessed. Okay, hopefully that made sense to you guys. That is how you would use broadcasting to reset the hangman game. Let's do some quick review before we finish off this lesson. The first review question is, what 2 blocks must your program have for you to use broadcasting? The answer to that question is you have to use the when I receive block and the broadcast block. Final question is, what is the purpose of broadcasting? The answer is to have code run at a certain time, right? Remember, with broadcasting, we're trying to broadcast a message, and then when another part of the program receives the message, something else will happen. In the case of our game of Hangman, we can broadcast a reset message whenever we want, and then we will have this portion of the code receive that message and reset the game for us, instead of having to repeat this code every time or having to put it in multiple parts of our program. That was all for today's lesson. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'm hoping to see you guys in the next lesson. Bye guys.